Hello, welcome to the Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network. Tonight, we're going to talk about something Travis picked. Shell holders. But first, I want to take time to thank, I can never remember which way I have to move because I'm directionally challenged. Patriot Patch Company, that's patriotpatch.co. Because they make some kick-ass stuff. My favorite thing, patch of the month, November, in honor of Black Friday. And our tactical turkey. This has kind of gotten cooler every year, so I don't know if I got the other out here or not. Oh, yeah. There is, I think, last year's tactical turkey. So it's always fun to see what Ryan and Jake are going to come up with. So that's patriotpatch.co. Also want to thank Sean and the gang over at Firearms Radio Network for giving us a place to hang out every week. So, well, my life's kind of sucked lately because in my free time I've been editing. So, and I did start a part-time job at Cabela's. And no, I'm not going to just turn around and spend my entire check there. So,
Lies.
Liar.
Well, seeing as how I have to pay bills and I have to get my checking account positive again, no, not spending it there.
Double lies.
Yeah, he says that now.
Well, let him get himself caught back up.
Yeah, once I get caught back up, that's a whole different story. But yeah, most of my time has been spent editing. Obviously, we had a conversation about 275s not posted yet. With good reason, because I've been trying to get all those stupid little noises that have been in there. What really kind of irritates me about the entire thing is when we first started using StreamYard, which is what we're using at the current second, we had the noise. I messaged them right away saying I was having issues. I spent 25 minutes messaging back and forth with their tech support. And not once did they suggest once you found out who it was, which I found out who it was the first night, but not once did they suggest any solutions, especially trying a different browser or updating your audio drivers. So what solved it? Jim was using Chrome before. He switched to Firefox. As soon as he switched to Firefox, boom, noise gone. So, not real happy or impressed with StreamYard's tech support right now. But I see they're talking about A-tips. Hornaday's new fancy bullet. So, but in the chat. So Travis, what you got?
Looks like we got loads of bacon in the house tonight too.
Sweet.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have Phil tonight. He's having more truck issues. So,
Liar.
So yeah, I honestly haven't been up to much in the world of reloading. Now the weather's changing. I'm going to start ramping up to doing a bunch of casting and stockpiling of ammo. So I kind of cleaned off the reloading bench. You can't see it by over this direction. I cleaned up a little bit and getting ready to, in front of me, start building another wall. Because I don't know what happens. No matter how much space you have, you fill it up and you end up needing more. So I need to build another. I'm going to build right in front of me another 20-foot reloading bench so I can have dual reloading benches on either side.
Hey, Travis, did you want me to show that picture of Phil's truck?
I say nothing. That's I don't know what picture. What picture are you talking about?
Show us, Mike. Phil's Toyota truck, 2-wheel drive, stuck in the mud.
with all that prepper gear in the back. It weighs him down, you know.
He's gonna make you pay.
I hope I never meet Phil in person.
Poor Phil.
On a serious note, that's not actually Phil's truck. It was one that somebody found and sent to us.
Yeah, it looks like in the chat everyone's is happy that we talk about Phil's truck. We do it for the fans.
The best part, okay, so honestly, Phil is home taking care of his sick wife. So, and he said since he was taking care of a sick wife, he figured that would earn him some bonus points, and we wouldn't make fun of him for getting his truck stuck. However, he assumed wrong.
Yeah, what I like is first things Phil says is, I'm not going to be on the show tonight. And no, it's not anything with my truck.
He's a little too defensive about that poor old truck, two-wheel drive truck.
Hey, when you pick a two-wheel drive truck, you get what you get.
That's a fact.
So,
In
Jim,
all honesty, Jim, I thought we did that cartridge already.
No, we did 300 drum.
Okay. Sorry. In all honesty, my dad is one of those people like Phil that had two-wheel drives for years and years. And honestly, he proved to me that as long as you know what you're doing, you're not going to get stuck. So.
Yeah, you don't go in slop holes like we do, like at picture shows.
Right. Well, obviously, unless you've got a decent four-wheel drive truck, you don't even go into slop holes like that. So that was some guy that spent too much money on his brand new Toyota, and he's got a bunch of buddies that have mud trucks, and he wanted to go hang out with his buddies and decide, well, I've got this awesome kick-ass truck. I can go through that. No, you can't. So, although, full disclosure, I have taken a Ford Escort GT mudding, so multiple times.
Yeah, because the front wheel drive is pretty damn good. It's almost as good as four wheel drive.
Unless you're trying to straddle ruts made by
no.
350 with 44s and you hit wet grass, then all the drive in the world won't do any good if the tires aren't touching.
That's right. You're bellied out.
We could have put a basketball underneath the tire and still had space in between.
That's seriously stuck.
Yep. But we did take it mudding out in my buddy's farm field once. Took it into the car wash. They had a get it clean guarantee. There was 4 inches of mud on the undercarriage on that thing, 2 inches all the way across the top. I actually had to get the ice scraper out to scrape the windshield off so I could see, to drive it to the car wash. They had to run that thing through 4 times.
Same price?
Yep.
Oh, that was mean.
They changed the guarantee shortly after. And it wasn't actually me that got them to change it. It was a couple of guys that came through after they were done mudding. So, but yes, that was my fun and thing. But, okay. So Travis, now that I interrupted you completely, back to what you were doing.
I think that's pretty much all I did.
Sure enough.
You're on mute.
Shrenda, you muted.
Got it. Sorry. Trying to spare Mike the editing. Actually, I have been kind of busy. Other than a couple of funerals I had this past week, I went to a waterfowl clinic, but it was too warm, so I couldn't go. Waterfowl hunting this past weekend. I have a 3-part demo reloading series at another organization for the next 2 months, I think. Can't remember the time frame. And embarrassingly, I discovered today I ran out of bullets. I have been loading so much. Now, I'm not out of cartridges, just out of bullets to make more. So I got to place an order for that here tomorrow. And I just finished probably for the next month or so my final load of 223s because I gotta go buy my own equipment.
Well, what are you missing? Because
I do
you got
not
that
have a
650.
trimmer
Okay.
at a 550. 550, yeah. I need to get a trimmer. I'm not gonna be doing this.
Mhm.
Yeah, I need to at least, I call it a cranker. I need to at least get one with the handle on it. It doesn't have to necessarily be a super expensive one. I need to get a case gauge, and what am I missing? It's something really simple. I think I need the conversion kit. Yeah, I have dyes, so I've been working on it, but I need to get the conversion kit. And I really don't have an excuse other than somebody. I was using my friend's husband, and his was already set up, and I take cake. I go in his office, crank out my rounds because everything's already set, and go home and leave the cake.
Sounds
But
like
they're
a good
moving.
trade.
It was, but they're moving.
That explains why you had to get your own equipment. Question for you:
Mhm.
do you happen to have a cordless drill?
Not one that I would trust. I mean, we're talking like Family Dollar, General Dollar. This was at Christmas for $5 deal.
Make sure you find out whether or not you could chuck that onto the end of the case trimmer.
Mhm.
That'll save you a lot of this crank.
I would try that.
Yeah, I'd get you something motorized.
Mhm.
Well, I got to talk to Santa.
Well, Travis has got a good point. Buy once, cry once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Travis, you like that one you got, don't you?
I really do. You know,
Which brand do you have?
I got the one I recommended to you. The Lyman?
Yeah.
What's it called? The Lyman Trim Mate.
I don't know.
Brass.
We can store next week when we talk about brass trimming.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's right.
but
We already
I don't.
covered that.
For
Fun
my
topic.
for my 223, I use the Dillon RT 1200.
Yeah, but Travis loses thousands at a time.
Yeah, I'm not cranking out that many at a time.
Another option, just you could keep in mind is there is several companies that you could ship your brass to, and they'll prep it all for you and ship it back, and it's actually not as expensive as you think.
Isn't that cheating?
No.
Okay.
Why
I
is
know a good company I could recommend to you to send off a bunch, and they'd send it back all trimmed up, ready to go.
Please do. I like all the info. All of it. Oh, and I got an air pistol for playing in the house, dry firing. Story I'm sticking with. And I got the SIG P320. It's a replica of the one that I competition shoot with, so it's actually kind of cool.
Now, you going to dry fire this air pistol?
Sure, why not?
Won't that be hard on it? The trigger sear mechanism?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I know nothing about air pistols.
No, it was $60.
Okay, good enough.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear you. You're saying you can't hardly go wrong.
Right.
By the way, JH586, thank you. I was just talking about like on my excuse me, my Forster trimmer. I can open the chuck up on my Ryobi cordless drill, and I chuck it directly onto the smooth shaft of the Forster trimmer. It's hard enough that the jaws don't affect it. But anyway, thanks for the tip on about the cordless screwdriver. But anything cordless, anything to motorize your drive, yeah. Anything to motorize your spindle so you don't have to do that crank. Crap.
Yeah, because I type for a living. My hands get tired
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
quickly.
Carpal tunnel is definitely an issue among reloaders.
I think this is more like lazy tunnel.
Let's see here. Let me get into the show notes.
Did you say what you did, Jim?
No, not yet. I didn't do any brass prep at all. but I did order and pay for 530 caliber, 168 grain Sierra Match Kings. And then I made arrangements to attend the big gun show this coming weekend. That would be the Dixie Gun and Knife Show, or it's Knife and Gun, I can't remember which. It's up at the NC State Fairgrounds in Raleigh. And the people I'm buying it from is a local company called Reloading, or Blue Collar Reloading. Young man, young woman, they're a couple, and they're running their own business. And I'll tell you what, these folks they actually have a brick and mortar store. They actually have a brick and mortar store that they're selling their wares in. And I think they've got more invested in the store than the store owner does. It's actually inside of a pawn shop, and I forget where it's at right now, but they're doing pretty good. I do have one shout out I want to throw out there. And he's on the air tonight for the first time, believe it or not, or on the YouTube chat viewing. Russ Brumbelow. I wanted to tell you that let me see here. We covered the 6mm Remington caliber in episode 257, sir. Just wanted to let you know, because you mentioned that in the MeWe chat, and you might want to go back and listen to that, okay? That's all I got for the shout-outs.
Well, I got to say, David Denny on MeWe, I do like those memes you've been posting of Jim and Lee Liquid A-Locks.
Yeah, the Winnie the Pooh was like, ooh, and he's been sniffing that stuff. Ooh.
Maybe, you know what we need to do for Jim for Christmas is we need to get like some kind of cologne made for him that has that Lee Liquid A-Lock
It's
smell.
called Hoppy's Number 9. That's actually what I thin my A-Locks with, believe it or not. I really do. Literally thin it down so it goes further, but it also, because it makes it more liquefied, and it applies on a thinner coating. And it evaporates away.
Yeah, our listeners aren't interested in that, Jim.
No, They're not interested in what we got to say. Explain then why Mark K mentions the fact that Blue Collar Reloading is very good people. Gotcha, Travis. Travis had to mute himself before he starts cursing me.
At any rate.
What'd you do this week, Mike? Anything?
Obviously, you missed that. I went first.
Yeah, okay. Sorry.
Slacker.
Ooh, Ellie Wilson, you're going to spend some pennies, girl.
No, I have no pennies to spend.
There, Travis has got the best trimmer on the market in his hand.
Which
And
brand
all I have to do is unscrew that handle, and I take and truck that thing. Travis, touch the spindle on right there beside the crank handle. Yes, right there. I chuck my cordless drill directly on that surface.
Okay. What brand is that?
That's a Forster trimmer.
Oh, yeah, that's out my
Loads of Bacon says, my A-Locks coating is so thin it looks an awful lot like powder coat. You're disgusting, Bacon.
Hey, Strinda,
Anyway.
I don't use this. This could end up at your house if you need it.
Take the deal. Take it.
Sold. Let me know how much shipping and all that other good stuff is.
So all you got to do to get this is convince Jim to do a little powder coating.
Shit.
Oh, damn, I ain't gonna never get it.
Jim, you're not gonna deny her.
I'll try it, but I'm not going to do it.
I think
Hey,
I know
Mike.
his kryptonite. Dear
Mike.
Miss Marissa.
Oh, that's unfair.
Don't ever do that again when I'm taking a drink. I almost
Well, Mike, you remember how we talked about the only way to get him to do any kind of powder coating was to trick him into it?
correct.
I'll try it. Give me
See,
some
look,
bullets.
look. What I got a trimmer. I got some the shell holders.
Yeah. I got all that. Send it to her. I'll try your damn bullets.
Wait, that could be my next YouTube video is me
It looks more like you're trying to do some sort of fancy dance. Oh, Jiminy Crickets. Oh.
Oh,
What do you mean, Paul? Unbelievable, Jim. We are supposed to be helping new reloaders.
because you were hesitating at powder coating in the first place.
No. Okay.
Anyway. Yeah, Bradley Reese said his Forster trimmer is being decommissioned. He has 3,223,556 to process.
Oh, Elvis, you are a glutton for punishment. That's even old-fashioned compared to me.
All right, we're going to talk about lubing bullets some other day, like when we get to casting.
So here's a nice transition for us. Here's another trimmer that I use. And
We're talking about trimmers next week. Put that away.
No. What
Oh, all
can
right.
we use? Yeah, see, you know where I'm going.
Okay.
These trimmers, at least this Hornady, takes what we are going to talk about, and those are shell holders.
That's the lamest segue I ever saw, Travis.
Well, you weren't helping anything there, Jim. So
I got one in my hand, buddy.
I have a couple.
I'll do like you do. Put it in my hand. There it is. And it fits real good on a cartridge.
Oh, Chris, you are delusional if you think anybody gets discounts on reloading stuff.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I know somebody that worked for, what's that big outfit out west? Begins with the letter S. The one that Jason Trumbo likes so well, Mike.
Oh, Sportsman's.
No.
Shields.
Shields, that's it. Shields is even worse. They insist their employees pay full price. Then they reimburse them a little bit.
Nice. Not. We got a Shields in Appleton. They pop up there every once in a while. Any rate, so since we segued to shell holders, what is a shell holder?
That's where you put your seashells in.
A she shell?
Yeah, seashells.
Are the she shells out in the she shed?
Hook'em's going to kill you. You know that.
No, because he said like a 2-week break.
Uh,
Because I've
He's been on vacation for the podcast.
Chris has the correct answer in the chat. Hold the shell. So theoretically, you could take one of these and
can't see what you're doing, Mike.
I know. I did that on purpose. So we have a shell holder. This one here happens to be from a certain company out in New York. Jim, do you know who that is?
Yep. I've been in their plant. I got one similar to it, but it's a different brand.
Ooh, yeah. See, that's the problem is you don't have a Redding one.
Right. It's Redding, as in Redding Precision, Redding Reloading Equipment. That is the correct name.
Redding.
Yep.
Redding.
Mikey, you got something special there, don't you? I've got an ordinary.
You shush.
Yeah, all right. I got an ordinary RCBS shell holder, but I found out a long time ago that I'm going to use the nose of this round here to show you guys something. If you look, there's an. I'm physically challenged. You see in there that flat spot I'm trying to show you? There. Okay. If you go down inside there, right there, where the nose of the round is touching, that's where the shell lays, sits, stands, just like so. The trick I learned years ago was there's a little bit of vertical play in this. It has to be 4 or 5 thousandths play, right? You got it right, Mike. But, right, fore and aft, up and down. I learned when I want to take and bump my shoulder back with a standard shell holder like this is right here, In that space, I can wedge a piece of feeler gauge, 2 or 3 thousandths, because it's only 4 or 5 thousandths deep. My finger's blocking the view. But anyway, in
What's
this,
your feeler gauge to show everybody?
I don't know.
Oh, you're killing me, Smalls.
Yeah. But anyway, I could show you with a piece of paper because a piece of paper is 3 thousandths thick, and it doesn't compress that much. But anyway, in there you can slip a feeler gauge in there, and it moves the shoulder. Well, it forces the shoulder to move downward like so. But somebody who shall remain nameless forever, except that he was on episode 200 of this very podcast, along with me and Mike and I should probably say. Robin, good man, but he came up with what's called, well, I'll let Mike tell you because he told me to shush. And I don't know why Mike's off screen right now. But anyway, Sharenda, do you know where I'm going? Do you know what I'm talking about? This vertical play in the shell holder? If you don't, ma'am, please say so.
I do not. I have no
Okay.
idea where you're going with this.
Okay. What the idea is, you know what the shoulder looks like, right?
Hmm.
And you understand that if the shoulder is too high up here, if it's too high, it won't fit into the chamber, right?
Right.
But by putting a piece of feeler gauge between the shell holder and the shell, it physically lifts the shell up a bit. You follow what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
Okay, but by doing that, and when I bottom out my shell holder right here against the base of my die, that actually
Hold
has
it up
the
a little higher. You're off camera.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Don't hesitate to do things like that. But anyway, so what that does is it causes the case to go up into the cartridge or the sizing die a little deeper. It moves the shoulder down. You follow what I'm saying?
Yep.
And why would we do that? Because people like Jeremy Rowland and stuff like that, guys like him, they don't want to overly work their brass. They just want to move the shoulder back a hair, just less than an eyelash, just enough to take and get it to rechamber. But somebody very intelligent, he's a very good friend of this show. He was on episode 200 with Mike and I, came up with a little different thing. But I'm going to pass this over to Mike. Mike, I know you're listening to me. It's on you, buddy. What do you got? You got something special.
I'm not talking about those now. So
you're not.
now that you've done that great lead up, everybody has to wait till we finish talking about shell holders.
Yay. See, that's how you keep them in suspense.
Suspense or agitation?
Both.
So the first question we asked was, what is a shell holder? And we kind of got an answer for that. They said something to hold the shell, but it's not quite that simple. Jim, is the shell holder on a 550 the same as a shell holder on a single stage?
Absolutely not. It's not a shell holder. It's not called a shell holder. They're called, in Dillon vernacular, they're called shell plates.
Same with Hornady and Lee and pretty much everybody that's got a progressive, they all call them shell plates. Now, what's the difference? Why
Well,
is it so special?
are you asking me?
Yep.
Why? Because you're holding multiple cartridges. Because those cartridges have to index around on the 550 and on the 650. And I'm not sure about the Hornady. I've never seen it operate progressively. But I know that the turret indexes on the Lee Classic turret press. I don't know about the Lee Loadmaster, whatever they call that progressive machine. But what the point is those cartridges have to index into a circle. They go at least 270 degrees. And on the Dillon, it goes exactly 270 degrees. And then when I index it after 270, it kicks the case out. Lady, I can't see what you got. It's too dark. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Look at that. Fingernails and all. Nice. There, Travis, what you got? You got shell plate. I know that, but what's that for you? 1050?
Yeah, so there's a shell plate. Here's just I'll just quickly go over a couple of little things I got sitting here in front of me.
Oh, now he's just bragging.
Here's a shell plate.
Travis, can you put a cartridge in that plate for us? Do you have one real handy?
Yeah. Okay, so this is the shell plate for the 1050. Cases come in, rotates.
Very good
Rotates.
illustration. Nice.
Rotates, fills them all up. Then they start getting kicked out. So here's a shell. This is a shell holder. It's a shell plate, but it holds your cases.
How many stations does that have?
8.
No wonder you can do brass prep on that.
So I got that. And here's an old, Jim said this was probably off of a herder's press. Here's an old shell holder I have that actually threads on the ram was actually threaded. So instead of quickly sliding in like we're used to, these old ones used to thread on to your ram. And then the next one is our standard, what we're more used to is like an RCBS shell holder. And then you get into more specialized ones like this one for a Lee.
Wait a minute. That's not. How are you going to hold on to that?
So this
Very
is
good.
what I have mine for. Is I've got a couple of these Lee primers. It's the same with the handheld one. Yep, Mike's holding up.
Auto Prime shell holder set.
Yep. So these ones they have no. Yep, exactly. So these have no. What would you say that's called?
It's the snap. It's the holding stem.
No holding stem. It's just basically if you can picture a standard RCBS or Hornady shell holder, you cut the bottom stem off. So it's just like a flat disc. On Lee, they just drop into whatever hand press or bench mounted priming unit you have, and off you go. Yep.
I have the original Lee Auto Prime, and Mike talked me into buying that one with the diamond shape. I have two of them. No, not that. The other one, the diamond. I have bought two of those. I keep one set up for large primers, one set up for small primers.
Yeah, that's for me. I've got two of these. I mount onto my bench, and I just strictly use one for large, one for small, and I do have several of the ones that Mike just held up, the hand priming ones. And the nice thing with Lee's is the round ones that Mike showed, or the square ones, or the triangle ones that you're talking about, can all go into these.
You're talking about a primer reservoir, right?
Primer reservoir, perfect. Yep, they all can go right into here. The last one example that I got is the one that I've been trying to figure out the main purpose of, is like an RCBS extended shell holder. You see, for those watching, it is much taller than your standard.
Yeah, but you can't set primers with that extended shell holder, can you, Travis?
No, you cannot. It's really just for seating.
See, as in seating bullets, not seating primers.
Sorry, yeah, seating bullets. There's no through hole, so you can't use this to decap, spent cases. There's no hole through it, but it is much taller. So those are the examples that I've got sitting in front of me here.
And Mike and Travis came up with one. I have it out in the garage, but I just forgot to bring it in. But it's a prime example of the Lee style drop-in shell holder for the Lee Auto Prime system. Travis, I didn't even know that equipment existed. That your bench mounted priming tools. I didn't even know that existed because I like I did not know that. Mike talked me into upgrading my equipment and bought the new Auto Prime system with the diamond primer holder in it, primer magazine. But then he came up with that one with a triangle on it, and I have no idea what that is, Mike. Please elaborate. Over to you.
That is actually the newest version. So what I wanted to show you, so the one thing that Lee's kept consistent throughout their entire iterations of the hand primers is this piece here. And it's just a piece of pot metal with a bar on it. And then here's your actual lever. So how this works, no matter what setup you've got, that goes on there like so, and then that slides up in, and that's what provides your pressure. So the nice thing is with Lee's is you can swap them. So as you can see, this is the newest iteration. And basically, some of it is for feeding, some of it is for safety. What they've done is this newest one is actually even more safe than the previous one. Jim, as you noticed, on the black tray, and people hated this because you have to hold the thing at a certain angle to get it to work right. Basically what they did is they created a step up. So the primer goes into here first, then goes up into here with a little gate. Well, in the newest one, what they did is it's just got the gate in it. And then the problem they had is that little first lift was flipping primers if you didn't hold it right. So what they did on this one is they actually put a solid block that holds the primer so it can't flip. So that's kind of since I got it out to show shell holders, I figured I'd explain the difference between them.
Yeah, I've cussed a few times over that primer flipping thing.
Yeah, for many, many years, this is the old style. This is, like Mike said, I used to just sit in front of the TV with a bucket full of 9mm, 223, whatever I was doing, and just sit there and just watch TV and prime all my cases with it. So these handheld ones they are Lee, but they're one of the Lee products I actually liked. And I do really, Jim, if you're interested, these are very inexpensive. Mike, what are they, like $25 maybe for this?
Yeah, something like that. I'll look it up.
Yeah, and it's got pretty much the exact same type of a setup that Mike was just showing us on here. Mm-hmm. So you can quickly change out your shell holder, pop this little mechanism out, and switch between large and small primers. But they're so cheap, I just bought one of each and just keep one for large, one for small. And I find this gives actually pretty consistent primer seating depth.
Believe it or not, Travis, that diamond shape primer magazine that you have there, yes. No, that's a triangle. I'm talking about the other one. The square on the corner. Yeah, the diamond shape. That's not the original style. I have the original style, the Auto Prime, which was there you go. That was my favorite tool until I pushed the front end of the damn thing off because I had reloaded so many cases. I literally pushed the front of the shell holder off. Shell holder portion. And I wound up buying a new Auto Prime at that time, the round one. Then I wound up buying two of the diamond shape.
Yeah, I actually, for what I'm using on this and for the handheld one, you got these two. I really like this triangle shaped one here.
Why is that, Travis? Please.
I don't know. It is a pain in the butt you have to open it up, then you can see it goes square. So I actually have one primer in there. So then you can take your primers and dump them out, but then you got to, shimmy them around onto this part of it so you can shut it. But the nice thing, it does have a open lock and on, so you can lock that. Primers won't fall out, so you can remove it, take it around, add to it, put it back on. And then once it's on there, you can just flick it down to on, and away you go. So I usually, when I'm sitting down reloading a bunch, I think I've got maybe 4 or 6 of these ones. I'll load them all up and have them sitting there. So when I'm running low on primers, I can just pick one up, drop it in, turn it on, go back, load 100. When it's empty, pull it off, grab a next one, drop it on. Where some of these other ones, they have no on-off. You can, there's no way of turning it on and off. So you were kind of trying to do some balancing acts and seeing if you could beat the primers falling out.
That'll never happen.
So here's the other nice thing about that one versus this one. Notice how that primer is not sitting flat.
Which one's that, Mike? I don't even see the primer.
Right underneath the E and Lee.
There's 2 of them. You can see both of them are flipped sideways.
Oh, they're stuck. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And once that happens,
flip sideways, the other one is shiny side up.
Yeah, and once that happens, that gives enough space that eventually a bunch more of them you keep shaking around are going to flip upside down.
Yep.
So, Mike, what I used to have to do to prevent that was I used to have to take a piece of tape and fill it up, and then run a piece of tape down to kind of hold it tighter so they wouldn't flip.
You mean a C-clamp wouldn't work?
It'd work once.
Yeah, really. But who'd have thunk it? You use a shell holder to seat primers. Why is that? Because it's got a hole in the middle of it.
So how this actually sits in here is it literally just slides right in.
That's right.
Now, here's a question. Can I just grab any old shell holder?
No.
Why not?
Well, Mike, you're going to have to hold up yours, and then I'll hold up mine.
So this will kind of give you an idea.
Yep. He's got himself a shell holder kit right there. You see a little stem sticking down around the nose of the cartridge? Right here. Let me find it. There it is right there. That won't fit in Mike and Travis's priming tool.
Why not?
Because, Mike, you're going to have to help me out here. Show me why. It's flat. See, it snaps in, but it'll fall out until Mike puts the rest of that priming tool together. That shell holder will fall out.
Well, to be fair, that's the Redding one, so it's actually got a knurl on it. Let me grab one of my Lee ones and toss that and see if we can get that puppy in there. So, see, Lee makes 2 kits, red and green. Green is for the presses, red is for the primers. So, ta-da. So, and as you can see, this one has the base. So, it won't even fit. Literally, I cannot even slide it in. This is a number 10. And if we grab the 10 out of here, you'll notice if you look real close, and if I hold them still, that they're actually different thickness. And you can tell that just by an eyeball test. So Lee made them. So, and since I've got it handy, open. Let's find out what the difference is. Yes. The only drawback to digital calipers is you always have that fear that when you take it out, the battery's going to be dead. So it's always a beautiful thing when it actually powers up.
I just had to change the batteries in mine the other day, Mike.
Yeah. Well, that's the nice thing is if it's a halfway decent set, they've got a spot to put batteries in. So I got to get some more. So
Jim, what do you, hold on. Jim, do you prefer dial or digital calipers?
Well, I just had my battery pocket in my digital calipers. The lid for it decided it was done. So my $13 Frankfurt Arsenal digital calipers that I like so well have decided to take and go belly up. So I'm going to answer your question. My next set of dial calipers will be dial calipers. I have a Natoyo out in the garage right now. I've got another one at work, and it's like I prefer my dial calipers. I like the digital, don't get me wrong, but that door, the sliding little door on that thing, refuses to hold the battery in deep enough or tight enough to make contact. It wasn't the battery fault. I relied on battery just like everybody else. Instead, I'm going to go with my analog dial calipers because, Jim's an kind of analog kind of guy. He's old-fashioned. He won't do powder coating.
Well, Jim, to be honest with you, I prefer dial.
You're smart man.
I've just started to use my digitals. I don't know why, but I have a harder time trusting the digital over the dials. I don't know what it is.
I agree with you. I much, 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 much prefer the dial calipers because I never dreamed the caliper itself would actually break. Yeah, I'm gentle with my equipment. I have these guys on the big screen. I hope I never...
Mark's a smart guy.
Shut up, Hookem.
So two things. One, it's actually only 2,000, so it's an optical delusion that you can actually tell the difference. And the biggest thing is when Lee designed the little base on that, they actually made the base so the base catches here. Because if you flip it over, it'll slide in. So just wanted to be completely correct.
Well, I guess you just pointed out something it would be for a new reloader kind of hard to think about, but not every shell holder will work in every press.
Nope, not necessarily.
Just like I was talking in the chat a little bit earlier, this Hornady trimmer that I have, the way that a shell holder goes on it is it uses the hole in the shell holder. That's what orients it and holds it on there. And I know one of the viewers said it would only use Hornady shell holders. And I know some of my RCBS ones work because the hole is bigger, but I know I've got some other RCBS ones that will not work because the hole is much smaller. Here's just maybe that's hard to see, but you can see one of these holes.
It's not like the other.
I see it.
It's not like the other, right? We learned that in Sesame Street.
Yep. Hey, Jim.
Sure.
David Denny left you a new thing in MeWe. I figured.
Oh, man. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Keep them coming. Keep them coming.
Here we see Jim Fleming prepare to coat a new batch of bullets with Lee Alox coating.
Oh, geez. You guys are so terrible.
That was good. I thought I'd have to share it right away. So.
Yeah. Winnie the Pooh. Let's see here.
So, Mike, you've got those nice Redding shell holders.
Yeah.
I've got an RCBS one here. I don't have any nice ones like you've got, but does it make the tolerances obviously have got to be nice, tighter on the ones you have versus the ones that I have? So does that really make that big of a deal in your reloading process?
Yeah. The reason it does is because it keeps it from being sloppy. And by the way, Lee actually has a third shell holder style. This one actually is threaded. And the reason it's threaded is because it goes on this, which is designed to put in your drill for trimming.
There's that cordless drill trick again.
Yep. I found that while I was looking for other stuff. So now, so I've got my press over here. And then I've also got another press down here. And what Travis was saying about shell holders isn't always true. It depends on the press. Now this is an old, I can't even remember. I want to say old. This is an old Micro Precision. So I believe it's either one of the older Hornadays or Pacific. My guess is it's probably an older Pacific because it's not red, and I think Hornaday always is red. But
yeah, that looks like an old Pacific, Mike.
I could be wrong. So I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. But at any rate, so this has got a little different style on it. It still uses your slide-in shell holders. However, it has a set screw to keep it in there. I just wanted to show that. So that can make it a pain to switch those out if you strip out the set screw. Now on the Lees, and most of your newer presses, it's just a shaft that slides out. Now Lee's got a little lock clip right here that actually provides tension, but most of your bases are all the same size now, so that you can switch them in and out. So like I can grab this random shell holder, slide it in, and it sits firm. So that I don't want to lose because that's actually for swaging. So Travis, did you show the, see, here's a couple of the, this is what I was going to show also, is here's a couple of the Lee shell plates for the Loadmaster. And as you can see, they're different sizes. And then everybody does them a little different. Some of that's patent issues, some of it's other stuff, some of it's just, well, my design's better than your design. This is Hornaday for the lock and load AP. And the difference with this one, so as you can see on the Lee, it's got the shell holder built, the shell holder, it's got 5 shell holders built into the shell plate, essentially. So this one here, it actually has a complete spot for the shell to sit, where on the Hornaday lock and load, it actually is designed to actually have the shell sitting on the base of the press, and then the plate actually goes down over the top of it to hold it in. So as you can kind of see on the bottom, there's just a little bevel there. You can kind of just barely see it there, and that's your shell holder. So everybody does them a little different.
Mike, isn't that called the shell platform?
Nope, it is a shell plate.
No, not the shell plate, where the case is actually bare on the part of the ram that comes up and down. Isn't that called a shell platform?
I couldn't tell you without looking at instructions.
I know in the Dillon equipment it is.
I couldn't tell you what Hornaday calls it.
Okay.
So
we'll get to it, Hookem. He's wanting to know about the competition shell holders.
Oh, okay. All right. So now, what everybody's been waiting for Get the rest of this stuff out of the way here.
You're one of those all the time, Hookem.
What a pain in the ass.
No, I'm not going to repeat what he called himself.
Oh. He's hanging out with
Johnny Walker.
He's hanging out with the desert people. Lee Primer Cedar. May not accept short meg brass like 2223 WSM. Anyway, okay. So Greg said the Lee Primer Cedar may not accept a short mag brass like 223 WSM. So he's talking about the hand primers. Didn't know that. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
they may not have made the shell holder for this. The super short mag cases are getting pretty rare.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the Winchester Super Short Magnum is what it's called.
Yep. At any rate.
They're short, but they're fat.
Yes, they are. So what everybody wants me to talk about that I've been putting off, because we needed to actually talk about the different ideas behind the shell holders and shell plates before we get any further, is these little beauties here. And these competition shell holders set, size number 1. So that would be 308. And so they come in different setups. And what they do is, I don't know the best way to show that. They change the depth at which they sit. We're going to see if they've got any destructions. So you're not, I mean, you're talking 2000s, 4000s, 2000s to 10,000. So you're not going to really be able to see by eye the difference. But what they do is they have a difference in how it seats it. So if you want to bump, say you want to bump your shoulder back 2000s, then you could start out with, one set and go to another. And it allows you to change over what your factory is. So Robin kind of went into detail on this when we had him on last. So directions say, congratulations, your purchase of the Redding Competition shell holder set will make a full length and body sizing die adjustment of snap and bring a new level of precision to reloading. So what it helps you with is being able to change without having to use the good old-fashioned method, which I'll show you here in a second. So the way you used to change your, if you were going to play the bump your shoulder back game, what you would do have your shoulder, and you take your full length sizing die or your fancy body die. I just happen to have a body die, so as you can see, it's straight through. But as you can also see, it's not literally completely straight through. So how you used to have to do this, and see about zooming it in again. Let's go over that. Yeah, you can see all the crap on top of the truck. So how this used to work, if you wanted to change what you were going to do on how far you were going to bump, you'd spin this to wherever you wanted to get it. And, you know, usual, typical, get it where you set, yada, yada. So for the body die, because I like reading instructions. By the way, gang, reloading is the only thing you can actually do and read instructions unless you work in a nuclear power plant. All right. So the beautiful thing about the body dies, it doesn't resize the neck. So theoretically, you could actually do this and not have to worry about getting your brass stuck. That's not true, but theoretically. And it says right in here, you know, body dies are designed are designed with internal dimensions identical to full-length resizing dies except the neck. Under normal circumstances, body die is adjusted to make light but firm contact with the shell holder. If your chamber is known to be non-standard and or has generous head space, you should consider adding Reading competition shell holders to your bench. They offer precise head space control and simple setup. So, as I did, light contact, and we'll just finger snug that for now. Put the instructions back where they belong. And then we're going to take one piece of brass. And since, you know, we're on a Reading kick, we're going to use some Imperial sizing wax. Now, I also have one shot here, and actually this is the one I use most of the time. And no, I don't get cases stuck. I follow the instructions. But because I knew what I was going to be doing tonight, I didn't want to have the wait time for letting it. Now, since I'm going to be working with the body, I want to make sure I get the body real good and then drop it so it can pick up all sorts of dirt. If you do that, have yourself a handy paper towel. Paul kind of explained it really good in the chat. It says Reading shell holder set is a set of graduated thicker shell holders that hold the die higher or lower to move the shoulder on the desired setback.
Make sure you have that paper towel handy to wipe off your lubricant.
Off my fingers. So
I'm being smart aleck.
Lots. So you take and put that in there. Oh, wait a minute. We can't. How are we going to know what we push the shoulder back to? I think we need one of these. All right. So this goes back quite some time. But what we need to do is you look at this little disc that's in there. They're all different sizes, and I'll show that. And yeah. So what you want is you want it to be consistent, because I want to see how far I'm bumping the shoulder back. So I want to get it so it's sitting about halfway on that shoulder. And I know this works because I've done it before. And actually, when I did it the first time, I suckered Roland into being on the video chat with me, and we sat there and went through this. So how this works is this goes on your caliper, and you can put it on either side. It doesn't really matter. But it goes on to the flat spot like that, and you tighten it down. So then what you're going to actually do is you're going to turn your caliper on, and you're going to re-zero it like that. Then you're going to slide it out And if you want, you can do it like this. I don't really know how effective it'll be. Usually I'll hold it normal. So then I can make sure I get it level and I'm holding pressure. So not a lot of pressure, because otherwise you can actually crease the case. What you want to do is you want to look multiple angles and make sure you've got that sitting in there so it's level, because otherwise you're going to screw it up. So
Holding it square, Mike, would be a nice way of explaining it. Yeah.
So what you want, well, square as far as the head onto your caliper. So
Correct.
this should be square. It doesn't really, you don't have to get out a level and check the level, because yeah, that's kind of pointless. Sorry. Thank you for the term of correction, Travis. So what you do is you put that in there, run it up, and you pull it back down. And this is how you used to do this, is you check it. And I went from 1.683 to 1.681. So I got my 2000s. However, if I want to go more, that is where the competition shell holders come in. So say I've got a really sloppy chamber.
Sloppy or tight?
Sloppy. No.
Thank you. No, you're right. It's not a sloppy chamber. It's a tight chamber. So if you reduce it by 2 more thousandths, that's for a tight chamber.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm thinking backwards. Now, as everybody can see, when I put it in there, it did kind of squiggle a bit. So definitely don't want to get a stuck case here on live video, because then everybody gets to laugh at me. So I'm going to go ahead and lube that puppy up again. Now I'm going to slide this in here. And just to get the dramatic difference, I went ahead and put in the 10,000ths. So now I run that up in there. And I'm not going to have as much resistance because I already did most of the sizing. Right now, in this case, I'm only pushing the shoulder back a bit more. Slide that back out. And check it again. And I did not get the results that I wanted. Part of that is because just because I went from a regular Redding shell holder to the competition doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the exact jump. So that's part of your issue there. So nominal shell seating depth for industry standard is 0.125. So theoretically, using the Redding one, I should have gotten a little more than that. But what I wanted to do is show you that you can't just assume you're going to get because you think that's the way it should work. So what you would, if you're going to use the competition shell holders, you're actually going to start Yeah, it didn't go all the way down. You can see where it stopped clearly. So that's part of the problem, is you can't just swap out your shell holders and hope it's going to work, because it won't. You actually have to take the time and effort to get everything set right. Now, when I got my original 2000s, I got lucky. But now that I've changed and I actually want that 10,000s, then you actually have to plan better. And if I throw a fresh piece of brass in there, then you'll get a little different But part of the problem is it didn't actually size all the way down like it should have. So. But and Mark said not all Lee presses over cam also, and that may be an issue. But Lee press is what I've got. So what we want to do is check this again.
Hey, Mike.
Yo.
You start with the thickest shell holder you have, so then that limits how far up you're going, and then you go backwards. The thinner
I'm doing it backwards.
The thinner you go, the farther up into the press your ram will go and your brass.
Okay. See, I didn't read all of the directions. So, yeah. So here we go. If I'd actually flipped it over and read, then I would have known better, but I didn't. So, and it does say in here, screw the sizing die in your reloading press until it touches the shell holder. Lower the ram and screw the die into the press another 1/8 of a turn for cam over. Resize the case and try it in the chamber of your firearm. So, if it doesn't work, switch to the shell holder mark 0.008 and repeat the process. Stop at the shell holder that allows the firearm's action to close freely. Your cases are now being sized properly to fit in your firearm specific chamber with a minimum amount of shoulder bump. So, as I was saying about reading directions, read directions, all of it. Because as you can see, I didn't, and I didn't. So theoretically, if I go with 0.002 on that first one, now that I've been informed of how they actually work, and this was the one thing that we couldn't do when Robin was here, or Robin was on the last time, is he didn't get a chance to explain exactly because I didn't have the shell holders at the time. So this is the first case again. And one of the things I've learned with this is make sure you check zero every once in a while, because especially if you've got cheaper calipers, it will creep. All right. So now I'm at 1.664. And I also adjusted the die a little more. Elvis wants to know if anybody's using Stay-Ball powder. Mark's funny. So now this is an unsized. Oh, no, it's not. Let's grab an unsized to make sure. All right, so this is 1.680 to begin with. And I have the 0.002 shell holder. So what I want to do is take that one out and put the 10 back in so we can actually see the difference as we go. So obviously I didn't put enough lube on it. Now see, that's the other trick there, gang. If you start to push and it starts to get stuck, you don't have enough lube.
In the same aspect, though, if you're trying to bump that shoulder back, if you have too much lube, you're going to cause hydraulic
Dents.
decompression. Yeah, basically causing dents in your shoulder area.
Yep.
So too much is not good. Not enough is not good.
As you can see, that slid up a little better that time because I put more lube on it.
Hydraulic deformation is what I was trying to say.
So now it's at 1.676. And so we're going to grab that 10, slide it out of there, and put the 002 in without adjusting the die itself. Run it back up. And now it's at 1.669. So as you can see, well, didn't see, but I didn't show you. So now it's at 1.669. So it moved the shoulder back the desired amount. Well, not really, because we're not trying this in a rifle. Yes, Chico, it is 308, Lake City brass. Now, if you did screw it up and you really want to, you know, you're not happy with it and so on and so forth, you can always just either do the candle wax trick with powder and blow the shoulder back out, or just load it up and blow the shoulder back out. And then folding 3 size or however you desire. So. Now, Travis, with your long one, you kind of explained in the chat, but not really for the listening audience. What's the deal with that longer shank? And why is it a good or a bad thing?
I'm still not 100% sure the purpose of these they're called extended shell holders.
Okay.
From everything I can kind of figure on them, like I said, there is no hole through them, so you can't do any depriming or such with these shell holders. But for example, I have this competition set for my 22-250. So these, so you can see the seating die has the micrometer adjustment on it. This is actually for, this isn't specifically for 22-250, I should say. You can basically seat any case that uses a 224 diameter projectile. So what I think the extended shell holder is for is, let's say you want to use this for, let's just change this over and say this was actually a 30 cal seating die. So you could use this in a shorter case, like a 308, and use the extended shell holder. Or I'm guessing you could switch over to, say, 300 Remington Ultra Mag, and I would assume you would not use this extended one, and you could use a shorter, or I shouldn't say shorter, a standard shell holder in that case, and use this same seating die for that. See, I'm not 100% sure the main reason for these extended ones in an RCBS competition set. So I'm sure someone in the chat's gonna tell me the exact reason here any second, but that's what I'm guessing it's for, is so you can use your seating die for different calibers and switch it out and use a standard one for the longer cases.
Forgive me, Travis. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I do believe somebody did. One of the two gentlemen named Paul, either Nelson or Loud, said exactly why they're supposed, what they're used for. But you'll have to scroll back in the chat quite a ways, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that was kind of what they. That was Paul Nelson. He said the same thing, and I've never done it before, but apparently these are used for trimming.
Okay.
Is that the Jim? Is that for use on? I've seen them. I've never handled one, but I know RCBS has some trim dies, and from the pictures and stuff that I see, it looks like the case head sticks out the top of the die.
You mean the mouth of the case, right?
The mouth of the correct. Sorry, the mouth sticks out the top of the die, and then what do you use to trim it? I've heard some people use files, or how are those dies
That's
used
exactly
for
right.
trimming?
Those dies are case hardened. They're harder than a file. And when you have the case come up out of the die, that little nub right there, that's what you file off. You just take it and file that right down till it comes flush with the case. That's when you stop. Now you've got your case trimmed to the proper length.
Wow, seems like a real pain to me.
It is.
I've seen them. I've seen them around, and I guess I assumed that there was some kind of different trimming device that you used, and you just come down and kind of kiss that.
Yeah, you're right. A trimming device called an ordinary common flat file. It's called a file trim die.
Oh, okay, all right. So I know all the RCBS competition. They're just called competition. Sets. They come with this extended shell holder,
Mm-hmm.
and I've always kind of
It would give you quite a bit of versatility.
okay. Like I say, that's the only thing I can kind of come up with is it's for you can use it. Like I say, I don't know if some new reloaders know that or not, but your seating die doesn't actually need to be specifically for that caliber. So let's say you go to the store and you have a 223 or a 22-250 in my case. I can use this same seating die to seat the projectiles in both of those cartridges. So that's what's really nice about something like this is you could use this die to seat projectiles in multiple calibers that are the same diameter projectile.
Okay. I got distracted. I'm sorry.
Yeah, me too. I'm just
Nelson just said, Paul Nelson said that, he's got a point. If you got to trim 30 thousandths off, that's a long way with a file. Use a hacksaw and trim it off. And then he uses a trim die to format 221 Fireball, 30 Harriet, 357 Harriet. CJ Galt wants to know how you support your bullet. Because it's open like that. You put your bullet in through that hole.
okay.
He wants to know how you support that. How does that work?
Okay, so that's a good. So for those who can see, this die, it looks like, for those listening, the best way I guess I could explain it is if you took a die and removed half of the side of it. So there's literally a giant gaping hole.
Window. It's called a window.
Okay, yeah, window. So in here, there is this bushing that floats. So
the case is supported.
Yeah, so that your case comes up in, you take your projectile and you drop it in through the window onto that bushing, and your case comes up and rests on that bushing, and it keeps everything nice aligned, and then your press pushes this bushing and everything up into the seating stem.
Believe it or not, now I've seen how that extended seating shell holder works. Put it up in there, Travis. Take that extended shell holder, put it up in the bottom of the case or the die.
Well,
that's exactly how it works. That's what it's for.
Well, when you're seating a case, the shell holder doesn't go up into the.
True, but it gives you a lot of versatility. with multiple cases. That's exactly what it would do. You take something like a 221 or 222, 223, the 222 caliber Weatherby Magnum. That's going to be a longer case than, let's say, 221 Fireball. You might need, for the Fireball, you might need an extended shell holder, whereas for the Weatherby Magnum, you wouldn't need it. Like you said before, that makes sense now. Believe it or not, you've wound up answering your own question.
So CJ is actually asking how you could use this die for different cases if it's not, the case itself is not supported.
Isn't that only for one bullet diameter?
Correct.
CJ, you got that?
So you would have to use the correct shell holder for your said case.
Mm-hmm.
So like I say, you could use this for 22 250 or 223. Use the correct shell holder to hold your case. This does not need to actually support your case. You're just using this to line everything up. And then your projectile goes inside there, like I showed you. It just goes up and it just pushes that projectile into your case. There's actually this, if you look at that, that's not actually supporting any size case.
But believe it or not, a while ago you said that shell holder may not go up inside that seating die. I'll bet you with the 221 Fireball, for example, it would go up inside slightly because it's quite a bit shorter than that Weatherby Magnum.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Okay. Shrenda, you getting all this? You're muted, dear.
Okay, found it. I said yes. I'm jotting notes and adding on to my wish list.
We have a new reloader among us, guys. Remember that. Miss Shrenda is fairly new. She hasn't been reloading since 1980 like I have. But this lady here, I give her credit. She started out on a Dillon 550. I started out on Lee Lee Classic Turret.
And then give her more credit, Jim. She's probably done more reloading in the last year than you've done in how long?
The last 2 years. Well, 3 years. Yeah, I wouldn't argue that. What's your count up to, Shrenda? Are you keeping records like that? How many rounds have you loaded? Do you know?
No, I didn't keep
track. In
all
entirety.
You're
putting that in a spreadsheet, right? Say yes, Jim.
It's on a sheet.
Hey, Jim, will you read the last two comments from Paul and Echo and the Bunnyman? I'm going to grab something and check it out real quick.
Okay, Travis, there's a difference between gold medal match and competition dies. The competition dies are shorter seating dies. Okay? And Eric and Echo and the Bunnyman says the shell holder's platform that holds the brass is not the same height. Therefore, you can use shorter cases to seat bullets in the same die as long as the parent cartridge is similar.
Okay, I've got, for when Phil gets his 338 Lapua. I have this gold medal match 338 Lapua dies. I just realized I have no shell holder in this set.
Shame on you. You can't give that away without a shell holder.
Well, Phil's probably never going to end up with this. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But I was hoping to pull it up. That's why I had you read that last statement. But I guess I can't show anything because I don't have the shell holder or nothing. But
ordinary shell holder would work for illustration purposes.
Well, no, the last comment said the shell holders were a little bit different on the gold medal match.
Okay. Well.
Oh, to answer your question earlier, Jim, I am
yes,
up to 10,000.
Not bad. How long have you been reloading?
Since last year. I don't remember exactly what month.
Holy cheese, lady. You're talking at least 12 months. That's
Yep.
1,000 rounds a month.
Yep.
Good for you. You shooting all that?
Of course, except for a little stockpile I try to keep. So if I don't have time to reload, I got something.
Good on you.
So she's been reloading more and shooting more than you have this year, Jim.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so in the chats, they're talking about like what you guys were just saying about writing all your stuff down. Paul Nelson sent me some really nice data sheets to keep track of all my loads and projectiles and very detailed charts. I really like them, so thank you, Paul. You need to send me some. You sent me a bunch for pistol. I need some for rifle too.
Modify them, you dog. Better yet, learn how to create a spreadsheet to do it for yourself.
That's too much. That's going. Just like you. Well, you're going to now, but just like you used to say, no.
Well, you and I disagree on a couple of things. You insist on remaining computer illiterate.
I play a little dumber than I am, but
I know. I'm looking behind you, and I can judge by your how you're set up. You're not as stupid as you pretend to be. Excuse me.
I don't believe so, Paul. I got two for pistol.
Make sure you make photocopies of the blank sheet.
Oh, I saved the files and I printed out. I can't remember 50 or 100 of each of these.
Oh, good.
You know, if I take the time and sit down and stop avoiding it because I hate being on a computer all day, I really do need to digitize my form so I can just
That's
type
right.
it in and save it. But just making the fill-in forms, such a turnoff.
Yeah, look at how nice Paul was for me.
Ooh, that's nice.
That's Travis Buck's reloading folder. Got a picture of a 1050 with a Mark 7 auto drive. And that is one thing that I did do in reloading this week is I got confirmation that my Mark 7 did ship and I'll have it Friday. So yeah, I got these ones here. Show all the details.
That's for that's for handgun ammo?
Yep, that. Let me look.
Well, pistol ammo, as you call it.
Yep.
Travis, Paul Nelson just gave you permission to post it in Facebook. Paul, the only thing is about that, we got to watch. If you created that, that's wonderful. That's perfect. Otherwise, we might have to watch for if it's been copyrighted. Paul, can you tell me in the YouTube chat, did you create this, sir? Before
No,
Travis tries to post it?
At least the one he did not. It's from Beartooth Bullets.
Okay.
But the other one I can't tell, but the other one's also like from what I can see,
He made it.
all for pistol. But it's very nice. It's got so many details as you know, you can write down every single aspect of your loads and
Travis, he gave you permission to post his intellectual property.
okay. But no, thank you, Paul. He sent this to me, and I literally opened up the email, ran down, started printing stuff off, and sent him some messages saying, I actually did use these. I printed them off. I'm going to transfer everything over to these. I really liked it.
That would be nice using it that way. I would prefer to keep mine digital. And of course, you could print the hard copy, say once a week, once a month, however often you make any modifications. You know what I'm saying, Travis? That way, if you print once a month, you don't, and you lose your data, you still got everything up to where you actually printed your last run. The way you only lose maybe at the most 30 days of information.
Yeah, well, you know my my thoughts on keeping records. I prefer to write things down the old-fashioned way.
Sharenda, is that an address?
That's my email.
Me.com?
Yeah, that's Apple's version.
Oh,
of their email address.
okay.
I've had it for a while. I'm not even sure if they still do me anymore.
Okay, Paul. Redding makes a rifle sheet that's very detailed, he said, so I'm going to have to go check that out.
You know what, Sharenta, you and I might collaborate a little bit on spreadsheeting. What do you think?
I would not mind that.
We
And maybe
might,
I won't be so lazy.
yep, we might do that up on,
Women reload to exclamation mark.
yes. And we share that in there, but we'll probably do it up on the Google Cloud. That way we don't, that way we're not exchanging, because I don't have Excel on this machine anymore.
Okay.
I lost that when I lost my hard drive. But anyway, no, that way it would work out well. Because everything you can do in Excel, you can do in the Google Cloud on the spreadsheets.
Yeah, that's true.
And you're far better at it than I am. I'm self-taught. You sound like you've been in classes.
Who, me?
Yes, ma'am.
I have, but because I do it for a living, it's like when I get home, it's like, ugh, I don't feel like fooling with it.
Yeah, but this is for reloading. That's
different.
That's
that
a different rationale. You're not crunching numbers to play with somebody else's money.
Right. You tricked me.
No, Paul, what we'll do is we'll put it up on the Google Cloud, and that way, when we get it all done, we'll share it.
Oh, Jim, you have an iPad?
I have, but it's an older one. It's 6-7 years old. It won't work, Paul. Mr. Loud, thank you. I appreciate that. But no, it won't work. I tried downloading it. It simply refuses to let me have it. Russ Pumbleau's got a good question or a good comment. He writes his down too. He writes it down on spiral notebooks, and he can't read his writing from when he was 15.
Oh, I can still read my writing.
Well, you have nice handwriting.
Well, thank you. And Russ, I used to work for several doctors, so I could probably read your chicken scratch.
Do you? I think, considering the late hour we got started about 8:30. I think Mike has pretty much intended to let the Cartridge Corner go. Guys, I know there was a couple of you in the MeWe chat were asking us not to let it go. And because of that, I did create a listing for the 7mm Remington Ultra Magnum. I'm not going to read it tonight. Mike wants to read it himself. He's a better narrator than I am. But anyway, so we'll save that for next week. If you guys don't mind, appreciate it. And guys, I will tell you what, the comments keep coming in. That's what we need, feedback from you guys to help us get material for what we're going to do next week. It really, really helps. And you guys in the MeWe chat, you know who you are. I've already given Russ Pumbleau a shout out, and I forgot the other guys already.
Serial killer, huh?
Okay. All right, we got anything else for the guys? Because I'll have to text Mike to shut it off after we get done.
I guess, is there any suggestions from the chat as to what we could talk about next week?
Mike had something. What did he say earlier this evening?
If not next week, we'll put it on the schedule.
Russ, I'll put that in there. I will put that on my list as a request. He wants to know. He wants us to go into the 275 Rigby, I believe it is. Yes, 275 Rigby. I'll put that on the spreadsheet for suggestions.
Yes, Paul and Spudman. I believe that might have been what Mike was thinking for next week. If not, it's the week after that. Maybe we'll have to cover that when Sharinda gets her.
That's
new
exactly what it
Forester.
was. That's exactly
Her
what it was. He was
Forester
talking
trimmer.
about
Yeah.
trimmers. Yeah, we're gonna have to watch Sharinda trim brass.
I'll do it. I'll sit here with a
I
smile
say
on my face.
if you're using it to trim 223 cases, you're gonna hate life.
That's a fact.
But
That's a
you
fact.
know what? At least with hands-on experience, when other ladies ask me, which one do you prefer? I could tell them why.
No, what you do is you say, "Have I got a deal for you?
No,
You got to buy
Travis
this."
got
And then
himself. That is the most versatile trimmer there is on the market because you can stretch it out. Travis has got his stretched out for a long case, but
You want-
you can bring it in. He's got those got holes drilled and tapped in it. Those black heads come off.
I've never actually used this, Jim.
Really?
No.
Where'd you get it? Because
I don't even remember.
got this. Somebody has that thing set up for long cases.
Yeah, I don't even remember. I've never used
Okay,
this.
Travis, turn it around, please. Okay, turn it around, please. Yes, Sharinda. You see those screws? Those
Yes.
screws come out. They're in threaded holes inside those black heads, and they come right out, and you can shorten that whole thing up to handle little cases like 9mm.
Oh, really?
Yes, ma'am.
Because
Now,
I
the
have
pilot-
a whole stack of nines that I do need to trim a little bit.
That's right. The short little case, stubby like a 9mm as opposed to a 30-06. Travis, you're holding that. Oh, you got it on a steel plate. That's why it's so heavy.
Yeah. So this is
thought
what
you-
this is what I
Cast
normally used was this Hornady trimmer, but these old delicate hands they do not like trimming too many cases with this hand crank. So
Well, that's why I say insist on Sharinda, get yourself a cordless drill and you can chuck it right onto that smooth shaft of that Forster trimmer. I like one.
or Sharinda, just get you that one that I recommended, the Lyman Trim Case Express, or the other real good one is that Frankfurt Arsenal Brass Prep Center. It's got
Right. That's a case of buy once, cry once.
Well, I'm gonna need them to hurry up and put that on sale because it didn't show up in next week's sales catalogs I done got so far.
a lot of guys like the Gerard Triway trimmer.
Yeah, that's
That
expensive.
chamfers, deburr. It cuts chamfers and deburrs all in one cut.
I have a tri cutter on mine. It cuts all three, but it was ground that way. It was ground. They don't make them anymore.
Yeah, I actually have one that's set up for my 308 over there, and I've got the inserts for 223 also. But I've just never. If you really want to get you a nice trimmer, get you that Dillon trimmer for your 550, and you won't look back. But we'll have to cover all that on another show.
Yep.
So you ready to wrap this up, Jim?
Yeah, I think so. I can't shut it off, but we can leave the chat and tell Mike to shut down on YouTube.
Well, Sharinda and I can leave, and we'll just leave you sitting here all by yourself waiting for Mike.
Yay, you're such a nice guy. Throw your tagline out there, Travis, if you want.
Get out and do some bullet casting.
Sharinda, did you finally come up with what is it, MOA, Miss Sharinda?
Minutes of Ango.
Define it.
You're a jerk, Jim.
No, guys, to be fair, I have been teaching Sharinda behind the scenes, trying to explain to her what minute of angle is.
Yes, because I was struggling with that one. I need to try to level up here.
You'll get it. You'll get it, man.
Okay, ask me next week.
Okay. I will. If I remember.
I'll remind you.
Put your tagline out there, dear.
So, take a woman out and show her how to reload, and then tell her to come over to the Women Reload 2 Facebook page. There's an exclamation mark behind the 2.
Women Reload 2, exclamation point. It's a women only group.
Yeah, we kicked the guys out. Sorry.
And get out and liquid Alox your bullets. your gas bullets. We're never going to quit fighting over that one. Anyway, no, take someone shooting. Anyone. Teach someone to reload. Phil's not here, so he can't buy it cheap and stack it deep. And Mike's not here, so he can't keep her brass shiny. But how about if we just say goodnight?
Good night.
All right. Good night.
Night, y'all.